Microphone on. Desktop sound on. Hi, Mitch.
Hi,
Hi,
friend.
friend. Yeah. So we're here. You're out there. If you come in later, you're still out there, and we're still over here. Welcome into Wednesday's podcast. Mitch will kick it off here in a second, but I just wanted to tell you, hi.
How does that? I mean, before we kick it off for the podcast in general, how does that work? Like, does when people join into your live stream, it takes them to the live point, right? It doesn't take them back to the beginning.
No, it takes them to where we're live.
Okay.
But if
and
you want
back,
if you want, you can go back and watch the VOD.
Oh, like so after you're done.
Yeah, if you wanted to see anything that you missed, there's a VOD for it.
Got you. Okay.
So you can go peek at that and figure out what you missed if you want to. So anybody who's not here today, and this is probably not going to make it to the actual podcast itself, but if you're watching the VOD, hi. Hello.
I mean, this will more than likely make it into the Patreon as the behind the scenes stuff, because that's I tend to chop off our beginning part and a little bit of our ending part and put it over there.
Patreon, you say?
Patreon, that's right. We have a Patreon. I need to do more with advertising our Patreon though, because
I'm really bad at advertising.
We do a lot of work into I'm
really bad at advertising that stuff.
We put a lot of work into the bonus material that we have on our Patreon, and I don't do enough to let people know, because like that's like money that they could be giving us, and I'm all okay for people giving us money.
Right, give us money. So if you're watching the VOD, or if you're already on Patreon listening to this in the future, give us more money. Do it now.
Tell other people to give us money.
Or whatever tier you're at right now, just go up to the next tier. So if you're already at top tier, just do the one that's for $1,000.
Yeah. I mean, if you're already at that $20 tier, just go right up to, wait, no, I think it's $15 tier. Yeah, I can't remember.
Just do the $1,000 one where you get to hang out with Mitch.
It doesn't say just Mitch. It literally says whoever you want. So if they wanted to hang out with you, then I would pay for you.
I'm unavailable that day.
To go. You're not available?
I'm unavailable that day. Nah, I'd be down. Let's hang out.
There you go.
Hey, JJ, welcome in. Peppermint Gentleman, hello.
Yay. All right, we ready?
Let's do it.
You look ready.
I'm professional as shit today.
Let's take that journey into mystery. This week we are talking about Antman and the Wasp, and man, was it needed. We needed this comedy. You gotta tell me beforehand if I'm gonna step into an echoing chamber.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, last week we had the heavy one. We had the heavy Infinity War with the snapping happening. This week we got to a little bit of a palate cleanser, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of enjoyment in life with Ant-Man and the Wasp and their little escapades through San Francisco.
Another heist movie.
I mean, kinda. I mean, there's no real heist in this one, is there?
No, my bad. Another like fugitive-esque movie.
There you go. Fugitive. That is appropriate.
You doctored your research.
That Scott Lang, always on the criminal side of the law.
Right. I'd like to welcome my guest, Dr. Richard Kimball. Fugitive's just stuck in my head now. I'm sorry.
I mean, it did answer one of the questions that we had after Civil War. Was the Sokovia Accords still going?
So then, yes, they are still active, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we knew that because Captain America was still on the run.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more after the Infinity War is the Sokovia Accord still going. And
this happens alongside Infinity War.
Right. So as everybody else is fighting, the Black Order in the middle of New York City and in outer space with Thanos, and then on Wakanda, Scott Lang and Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are all, or I'm sorry, Hope Van Dyne are all just hanging out, running around San Francisco with a building that's been shrunk down to the size of a shoebox.
Yeah. Honestly, that was the part that I had the biggest issue with, if we want to just jump straight into that.
I mean, yes. So the first movie tries to do a little bit of like sciencey explaining of shrinking and stuff. Like, you know, if it shrinks and it's an object, then it gets to keep its structural integrity and its weight, but it's all compact into one tiny spot. So thus it's whatever. Like if that was true, then the tank that's in his pocket would be like weighing down his pants.
He wouldn't
But
move. He would not be. It would punch a hole through anything he tried to set it on.
and then you have the you know, in this movie his the whole Matchbox thing of, or Hot Wheels thing of cars, and the building that shrinks down. Like, how does the power still work? Like, does it all have its own generators on the bottom floor? Like,
maybe. So I wasn't really here for the building, but I am here for the Hot Wheels box full of cars.
But how does that work? Like, just pure physics of the tire being smaller means that it cannot travel as fast as the as the big car. Like, but yet it is outrunning the big car. How does that work? They have to be going like 300 miles per hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna chalk it up to Stanley said so.
What did you think of Stanley's cameo in this one?
I thought it was really good. Where his car shrinks and he's like, I liked the 60s, but now I'm paying for it. Like, well played, sir. Like, it was fun.
I think after we get done with Endgame, we're going to have to go through and just do an episode of just the Stanley cameos throughout the whole thing and just talk about them and rank them.
I was going to say, so we do the episode, maybe 2 episodes after Endgame, where we put the MCU in order. Like our definitive order. And then we have to go and then we have to rank the Stan Lee cameos, because that will be a different order. I can almost guarantee you.
Most definitely. Like, I mean, maybe it's because it's the most fresh in my mind, but like the Thor Ragnarok one is just the I honestly think is the best.
My hands aren't as stable as they used to be.
I mean, it's so good. He didn't show up. He doesn't show up in Far From Home, right? Like, Endgame was his last one.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh, we just made ourselves sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's off topic, and we could talk about it in Endgame if you really want to, but I'll address it now. I think that since Disney owns Marvel now, just make Deadpool the new cameo.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Make him the new cameo and dress him up like Stan Lee. Give him the glasses, give him the shirt. So he's just like...
But the toupee on top of the mask with the glasses and the mustache on top of the mask and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, there you go. That's how we keep the spirit of the Stan Lee cameo alive while doing the most justice to it. Because I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty good. I wonder if they're good. I wonder if they are gonna start doing other cameos though. Like, I mean, you would think Kevin Feige would have been the one that they would have started with, since he's kind of doing that. But then him showing up in Spider-Man would have been weird, since it's a Sony movie.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna replace Stan Lee's cameos with someone else.
I'll do it.
I mean, that's fine. You kind of look like a young Stan Lee.
I've never seen a picture of young Stan Lee. I'm Googling it. If you're lying to me, I'm going to fight you.
Oh, there it is. There it is, folks. If you were waiting for that first drink.
Damn it. I used my one.
I hope I'm right. Am I right? I hope I'm right. You don't look like young Stan Lee at all?
No.
I think so. No one ever thinks they look like what they look like.
Chat, Google it. Let me know. Do I look like young Stan Lee? 1's in the chat for yeah, 2 in the chats for no. People listening at home, feel free to hit me on Twitter. Do I look like young Stan Lee?
Well, if they're listening, they might not know what you look like.
Just use your imagination. I'll give you a hint. I'm handsome. There we go.
Go to his Twitch and then go to his Twitter.
Or just
After
stop by while I'm live and let me know if I look like a young Stanley.
So yeah, how do the cars move just as fast small as they do big? Because those wheels would have to be spinning incredibly fast to cover the same amount of ground.
All right, I got it. So, Hank Pym is a science guy, right?
Right.
All right. So, as he shrank the car, the system that he built to be able to shrink the car at will, because it's not just out of the discs, it's the lever like we saw, he just built a faster, tinier engine because science.
Because it probably runs on a quantum engine, right? It's just like Scott said. Just add the word quantum to everything, don't you?
Mm-hmm. It's like Batman.
It's the Batmobile, the Bat car. Yeah,
it's the Bat Hot Wheels. It's the quantum Hot Wheels case.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Right?
I get it. So
right.
What did you? One thing I love about the beginning of this movie is the play, like the way that Scott like transforms his house so that it's a playground for him and Cassie, because he has absolutely nothing else to do other than be in his house.
I was on board. We saw it in the first one. We see it in the second one. Scott just wants to be a good dad.
Yeah.
And he's a great dad.
I mean, of all the MCU movies, which are already heavily like parent-child relationships, this is the most. This one like has him and Cassie, has Hank and Hope, then it has Janet and Hope, and then it has Ghost and her father, and then it also has Ghost and Bill, her like adopted father.
And then it has Luis and the company.
I mean, sure, the company is definitely Luis's baby.
Exactly. But you're right. Like, it's just everything mirrors itself in this movie as far as like the parental relationships, where Hank is the cautionary tale to Scott.
Oh yeah.
Of like, I did it wrong, and this is how we ended up here. So don't do what I did. You can be Antman, but you don't always have to be a hero.
Yes, exactly. Don't forget about the reason why you do it. And then the other idea is that like Scott doesn't want to become Janet either, like absent from Cassie's life by going back to jail because he's doing Ant-Man stuff. Like, because he's supposed to be 3 days away from his house arrest. They don't talk about the fact that after that he still has to do 2 years of probation, which means you still can't be doing superhero stuff while you're on probation.
I mean, unless it's Sokovia Accords probation, in which case it might be different.
Probably. Yeah,
I mean, Sokovia Accords probation is how you become a Thunderbolt.
There you go. I mean, like, we've been talking about it. We need it to happen.
That's how you become a Thunderbolt. You were heroing without proper sanctions, and now you're on probation. But your probation terms are every now and then you're going to get a call from Ross, and he's just be like, "So what you doing?" And then you're going to end up in some other place. Who knows where you're going to be with a bunch of other people who are on super secret Sokovia probation, and there you go.
You're gonna have another ankle bracelet, but this time it's gonna have a T on the side. So then whenever you need to do Thunderbolt things, the T starts to blink and make noise, and then you're like, dang it.
If you get too far away from the rest of your team, it starts like shocking you because you're a Thunderbolt.
There you go. Makes so much sense. I love it so
much.
All right, what's the poll from the chat say?
We got one vote, and it's just from JJ, who says, young Stan Lee is a stretch.
Damn you, JJ. Damn you. Fine. You know what? I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from anybody anymore. Anyways, no. I mean, we this one doesn't do the thing that you hate.
It doesn't kill the bad guy.
It does not kill the bad guy. Once
No.
again, just like we talked about in Infinity War, they made another flawed but like relatable villain. If Ghost is our villain in this,
All she wants to do is live a life. She got
Not-
taken advantage of.
yeah,
Like she got super taken advantage of. You're in a shitty spot, and the dude who's trying to save your life happens to work with these dudes who are going to use you for awful, terrible things, and you really don't have a choice.
no, you really don't. And one of the things I love is that it is Ghost is played by shoot. I had her name here a second ago. Oh, there it is. Hannah John Common, which at the time she was just in Ready Player One and also in Killjoys on Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know if you watch that show or not about outer space bounty hunters. She was in a few episodes of Black Mirror. And I didn't even know that she was in a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. But like, I think she's a great actress, and I was excited to see her in this. And for a character that in the Marvel universe, the comic book universe, like doesn't really have a background. So the Ghost character in the comic books is a guy. You don't know his real name. He is, even though he wears a suit that's all tech, he is against like tech companies. He goes up against, like, he's a Iron Man villain. And his whole thing is like corporate espionage and trying to sabotage big tech giants because they essentially, corrupt the purity of tech.
Yeah.
So, they took a lot of liberties. She has the suit, but the suit is there more to keep her together as opposed to the reason why she's able to ghost through things.
So here's a question for you that I have. As far as Ghost not being an Ant-Man bad guy, are you okay with other heroes' villains showing up in not that hero's villains movies? Like this case as the example.
Yeah, you know why? Because I think Marvel does that better than DC does. Like all the characters more often than not share the world together. So you see Kingpin like is a Spider-Man villain and a Daredevil villain. Like it's not just a Daredevil villain or just a Spider-Man villain. The X-Men characters usually kind of stay off in their own thing, but like you never see Superman fighting Killer Croc. You don't see Parasite going up against the Flash kind of thing. Like it just
like
they kind of stay separate.
Like DC scales its villains' powers differently.
Yes,
exactly. Where it's like, oh, you fight Superman, so you have to be really strong, or you have to be like the extreme of something. Whereas Marvel villains have a grain of salt. They have a little bit more of like realism based into them, in the fact that you can believe that any Marvel character can meet that character and it wouldn't be weird. Like,
yeah,
like not the interpersonal fact being weird, but it wouldn't just seem weird that they just met that person.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the thing that Marvel like loves to do, right? It like loves to be the everyday characters. That you could meet, you could run into the Shocker on the street, kind of thing. It's just the way that they've modeled their company, and that's okay.
I'm okay with that.
And I guess outside of Spider-Man and X-Men in the Marvel universe, because I guess I'm taking it back a little bit. You're not gonna all the villains and stuff they mix up together. Like you might see, especially since Norman Osborn became the head of Thunderbolts. Like you'll see him interact with the other characters in the Marvel U, but like you don't usually see Dr. Octopus fighting another superhero other than Spider-Man.
unless somebody like happened to be in New York at the time or something like that. Like it has to be
Yeah,
really specific for them to run across like an everyday rogue for like restart that phrase. It has to be really specific for another hero to stumble across a different hero's everyday rogue.
right. Exactly.
Like
Like the only person that would probably happen with the most would be Deadpool. Like
yeah.
Deadpool would stumble into everybody else's villains all the time,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
And
Because he knows he's in a comic book.
yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm over here now. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't really have a problem with Ghost showing up. I mean, especially since we know that we're not really getting any more Iron Man movies. So, villains that he hadn't fought yet showing up in other properties is perfectly fine for me. I'm sure I hope we're gonna see her more. Like, I like the interesting part about her character is that she was an agent of Shield. Like, she was trained by Shield how to fight. Obviously, they had to train her in a very specific way to use her ability of being able to ghost to fight. Like, once again, like we talked about this earlier in the MCU, having to come up with ways for people to fight, incorporating their special ability. Like Captain America having to learn to fight with throwing a shield around. So this is a person having to learn to fight that is technically not in the same place that they threw the kick or threw the
Yeah.
punch.
I liked that visually because
Mhm.
there were so many times like my favorite shot of it is when she walks through a door and like the solid part that you can see doesn't touch the door, but there's a phase that like comes out and pushes the door open.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that's really cool. And you can see it in the fights where like she's going one way, but then like an after image is coming around and actually hitting the kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's
And,
all
and this is a way for them to have someone fight them in the same way that they fight, as opposed to what we saw in the first Ant-Man movie where Yellow Jacket is doing the exact same thing. Like Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man are shrinking and growing and punching each other and fighting, right?
mm-hmm.
So it's just seeing the same thing and over. But Hope and Scott having to fight Ghost, who is doing somewhat similar of not being in the place where you throw the punch and then hitting you somewhere else, but in a different way. So they can't anticipate what's going to happen since they don't understand what is happening.
Yeah. I don't know, just the
And visually,
choreography and the thought that goes into these kind of things is I don't know how you do it. I don't. Like if I sat down and tried to do that, it would not work. It would have been goofy and it would have just been like, come on man, really?
So why do you think that they decided not to have her show up in like Endgame?
She's just
I mean,
off living her life now.
yeah, I mean, obviously, her and Bill Foster are probably off doing whatever, trying to figure out what their life is. But like, I don't know. Like in my head canon, it's like she figures out like the best place for her to go is back to Shield, and I could see Bill Foster being like a scientist for Shield again. So like, I feel like she should, because she's not a villain at the end. I mean, yeah, she's not a hero. She's kind of an anti-hero, maybe. Like, she's essentially what Black Widow is before Black Widow joins the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
She's a agent, does what she needs to do. If that's kill someone, then that's kill someone, like kind of thing.
Honestly, I'd be cool if they brought her back and like kept the character, changed the name. Because she's not she's not Ghost anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
But bring her back and she's she's on like the B team of the Avenger Squad now, or something. Because like she's got nothing else to do. She has all this training. Like regular life didn't work out, so let's just let's do the thing I know how to do.
Well, that's a good question. Do you think by the end of this, she can no longer do the ghosting? Like, I understand that Janet healed her,
Mm-hmm.
but I figured that it was still like a power that she might have.
That's a good question. I think it boils down to the how much can Janet actually heal.
True.
Like, is it like time reversal? Is it getting in there and putting her molecular structure back together?
I think it's that one. Like, to me, the idea is the same. Like, what she does to Ghost is the same thing she did to Hank. And like, he was being, when he shows up in the quantum realm, he's being split into different phases. He's being split amongst the dimensions. And that's kind of what's happening to, I feel like that's what's happening to Ghost. She's not being able to stay in one dimension, and Janet showing up, putting her hands on her temples, like, places her back into one dimension so that she's not being torn apart. Now, does that mean she's not able to go through things anymore? I have no idea.
So this movie kind of plays into how I view time.
Ooh, okay.
And you just hit on it, and that's why I feel like I can get into this here. You said that she's like phasing between dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, chat, everybody at home, follow along with this because it might get convoluted real quick. They say time is linear, but I think that like our conscience runs on a diagonal across that line. So if you have all the different universe, all the different like timelines, they all run parallel to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
We run diagonal across it. Like our conscience runs diagonal from moment to moment to moment. We're jumping timelines. We are experiencing the moment that we had made the choice for previously in that timeline and moving to the next one. So for her to be experiencing all of those timelines at the same time, and that's why you get things like the shot where I brought up earlier, where she walks through the door, but there's a after image ahead of her that pushes through it, because all of those versions of her are fighting for the same space.
Got you.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. Chat, feel free to tell me that made no sense whatsoever. But like that's kind of how I really surface level on how I view time anyway. So like seeing that and seeing Hank kind of like ripped into the different dimensions, like you're getting pulled into the different timelines. You're getting pulled into the different, like, everywhere that you could be at that particular moment, you're getting pulled to.
Okay. I get it.
I don't know.
I mean, see, this would have been a good. I mean, the in game was already what, 3 hours long or something like that. So that would have been a little bit more than they needed to throw in there. But like that would have been a good like deleted scene or added scene where they talk to Bill Foster and he's like, "This is Ava is a good example. Like she was experiencing multiple timelines at once, and they would be able to explain some things,
or even have Strange explain it,
or have Strange was
because he's
ghosted, or it's dusted, right?
Yeah, when he true, like, but when he gets back, it could be like, well, why is this a thing?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he was wearing the time stone for a very long time, so it would make sense that he would have ideas about timelines.
Yeah,
and he carried, 14 million of them at once.
Yeah, and I feel like he has the best perception of time at this point.
That's very true.
Like, he could literally stand on the outside of it and go, "Oh, so that's what it looks like."
So, do you think she shows up in the next Ant-Man movie?
Even if it's just like in passing, I think probably.
I mean, the next Ant-Man movie is rumored to have Kang the Conqueror, which is a time traveler in it. So,
I'm okay with that, because if we get Kang the Conqueror as our next like baddie, that'd be cool.
I just don't think they'll introduce the big baddie of the next 3 phases in Ant-Man 3. I just don't see it happening.
But at the same time, you're gonna have Kang the Conqueror come down and get his ass whooped by Ant-Man.
I don't think he's gonna get his ass whooped. I think they're gonna probably because the thing they do is they take the villain and they be like, he's not really a villain, like kind of thing. So I think he'll just end up being a strange dude that fell through the quantum realm and is a time traveler, like, kind of thing, and they'll help him out, and they'll just be like, oh, I call myself Kang. Like, they won't even throw in the Conqueror part.
So like he's our new Loki?
Kinda? Yeah.
Where like he's always involved somehow, but you're never quite sure why.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I really just, I mean, if they do, that's cool. I just don't see how they could.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it, Thanos is the big baddie of the first 3 phases, right? He's introduced in Avengers #1. So unless Scott Lang and Paul, why can't I think of his last name? Paul.
I'm looking. All I can think is wrestling for Paul Heyman.
I keep thinking, no, Paul. I keep thinking Paul Reiser, and I know it's not that. Paul Rudd. There we go.
Okay, I wasn't sure where we were going with that. I thought we were talking about like comic book characters. So I was like,
the actor who plays Ant-Man.
Yeah, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Yeah.
America's
Paul Rudd.
sweetest heart.
I now don't even know where I was going with the whole story. Ant-Man and Paul Rudd, is he going to be, like, bigger part of the next 3 phases?
Maybe. I could be cool with that. Because that just means we get more Paul Rudd.
I mean, who's going to argue with more Paul Rudd? I don't see it happening.
People who don't like Paul Rudd, and shockingly, they exist.
That's what we need. We need Paul Rudd, or we need Scott Lang and Star-Lord to, like, have scenes together. It's kind of like a little Parks and Rec, like, reunion.
Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, wait, he was on? Yeah, he's Bobby Newport.
Yeah,
I forgot. I didn't forget about Bobby Newport. I just forgot that it was Paul Rudd.
I mean, he lost himself in the role. I can understand it.
Bobby Newport. Okay, so because we had Ghost, and Ghost is an Iron Man villain, we don't have any more Iron Man movies coming out because we no longer have an Iron Man. What Iron Man villains are you cool with showing up in other places?
I'm trying to think who other. I mean, we're getting the Mandarin in Shang-Chi. That's traditionally an Iron Man villain. I would love to see who was it? Dang it. In Iron Man 2, the bad guy that was played by the dancing guy.
Whiplash?
Not Whiplash. The one that got Whiplash new technology.
Oh, Justin Hammer?
Justin Hammer, played by.
I need to look that
Names
up.
have just left me today.
I need to look it up because I'm always bad at names. Iron Man 2. Chat, feel free to shout it out if you know it. Might just be funnier to watch us flounder, though.
Probably is.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, of course. How can I forget that? I'm forgetting all the names today. But yes, I would love to see Justin Hammer show up in further phases. Like, he just went to jail. There's no reason why he couldn't. Can you think of any other Iron Man villains, so to speak?
A really fun one for a Spider-Man movie. Because we got rid of Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man. Ezekiel Stane.
Is that his son?
That's his son, who shows up in like another like Iron Man suit kind of thing.
Oh, like another Ironmonger.
Yeah, so you have him show up and just be like, "Yo, your mentor killed my dad, so looks like I gotta kill you, bud."
That's how that works. So, sorry.
Yeah, like, it's business. That's all that it is. I think that could be real fun. Or you could do like the Hammer family.
Okay, and I'm sure Silvermane should probably be in there somewhere, right?
Yeah. Or Spymaster.
Spy Master. Okay, that'd be interesting. You could definitely do that as a. I don't know who's our espionage. Oh, well, that's Black Widow. It'd be our espionage person.
Then maybe
Spider
not.
Spider Master could show up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then because I just want to see him on screen, Modoc.
Well, yes, everybody needs to see. Everybody needs to see Modoc, whoever it's going to be played by.
Andy Serkis has already been in it. Damn.
Yeah,
I just want Andy Serkis. Alan Tudyk. Let's get Alan Tudyk.
Perfect role for Alan Tudyk. He once again doesn't get to be his regular size. He has to do some motion capture stuff.
It's just motion capture for his face.
Because it's just a floating head.
And give him the two guns.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He's like, just bah, 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 face meant to kill you. I love it. That one's my more goofy answer, but honestly, I think like an Ezekiel Stain angle for Spider-Man would be kind of fun.
So what about Bill Foster? Would you want to see him in more MCU movies? Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, like who doesn't want to see more Lawrence Fishburne? Like he's just good at what he does.
So in the comic book, Bill Foster, Goliath, was killed in the Civil War. He was killed by the Thor clone robot that Hank Pym and Tony Stark made.
Because it's always Hank Pym. He never builds anything good.
In the comic books, yes, he never builds the good things, but in the TV show or in the movies, it's Iron Man that always builds the bad things.
Well, because Tony's involved in building the bad things in the comics too. Come on,
it's fair. Like Thor, the Thor clone robot. So yeah, the Thor clone robot puts a lightning bolt right through the chest of Bill Foster and in his giant Goliath form, and he falls over and he dies in that. Like they have to bury him in giant form. It's kind of sad.
Civil War was heartbreaking, like as a comic book, like as the event. Civil War was a hard read for me. Not because it wasn't good, it was just sad.
Oh. So do we need to have him show up again to die in a certain way?
Probably.
Oh.
I would like I'd prefer him to live, but at the same time I'd like him, if we're doing Goliath and it's Lawrence Fishburne, I want him to have a fight scene where he's, whatever the fight scene is, he gets to say, "Stop trying to hit me and hit me."
I mean, I don't feel like the Bill Foster character is doing all too much dojo fighting anymore. He's kind of past that age.
But like, that'd be great, right? Come on.
Maybe he makes up a technology where he has to jack into a computer program or something like that.
This is how we get the Danger Room.
Ooh, I'm all for that.
Because we have access to mutants now. So he and Xavier get together and he helps build the Danger Room. Or he and Beast hang out. And that's how we get like the Danger Room and a whole bunch of like X-Men tech would be this way. And then we could have a scene that's him and whoever we get to play Beast just messing around in the Danger Room because nothing's real in there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the perfect way to introduce all that stuff. So I'm all for it.
And I know you'd absolutely be down if we finally got Beast.
Yeah, it definitely. Talking about our villains, one of our second tier villains in this is introduced, played by Walton Goggins, which
always the bad guy, never the good guy.
This is true. Most of the time, he's never the good guy, but I'll always love a good Walton Goggins in anything. Like he's so charismatic.
Yeah.
His Sonny Birch character is a criminal. I don't know what kind of. I mean, he's kind of like a person that gets things, right?
Yeah.
So our heroes are going to him for tech stuff that they need to complete their quantum tunnel to save Janet, but he wants to steal Hank Pym's lab and give it to someone. Now, who do you think he's trying to sell that lab to?
Ooh. Because of the science implications and what could come from the tech in there, Doom.
Ooh, I like that. I think the prevailing speculation at the moment is that it's Osborn, but I like Doom a lot better.
It could be Osborn. It could be I'm really here for Doom mostly because I said it, so I have to support my stance. But it could also be cool if he was trying to sell it to Otto Octavius.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's a tech guy, though the more, especially with like cybernetics research, that kind of technology could be helpful with, I don't know, science it up for me.
I mean, exactly. There could be all kinds of stuff in Hank Pym's lab that would help him with getting technical tentacles that would work with his mind.
Yeah, but I think Doom would be a really good choice just because you now have access to the quantum realm, which means you now have more power.
What if, then this is a really big stretch.
Ooh.
But what if it was Dark Beast? Right?
We haven't even gotten regular Beast, Mitch.
I know. That's what I'm talking about, stretching over here.
Limber up, chat. That one's gonna be a reach.
I think when we had Spider-Man Homecoming and they were talking about all the Avengers Tower being sold to somebody and it was going to be someone else was moving in and they never said who. Like, I think one of the speculations there was that it was Osborn also. Like, I think now everybody's kind of on board that it's the new Baxter building and it's going to be the Fantastic Four. But I think that plus this really makes me think that there was a possibility of Osborn showing up.
Especially for the fact that it was in a Spider-Man movie that it started.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And I'd be here for Osborn to show up in the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of storylines that would work out great for him. I mean, if we have him as Green Goblin, or we have him as the head of the Thunderbolts, or we have him as the quote unquote hero of the Secret Invasion. Because if you remember from the comic book version of Secret Invasion, he's the one who comes in and shoots the Skrull Queen that ends the war, ends the invasion. So, which then makes him Secretary of Defense. Yeah, and the new leader of the Avengers. So it's a lot of things that would work out in our favor as viewers if it ended up being Osborn.
And I always get Secret War and Secret Invasion confused.
Yeah.
Which one was it that had Jane Foster Thor?
That would be Secret War.
Okay.
Or Secret Wars. Yeah.
Okay. Then never mind.
Second Secret Wars, the more recent one.
Mm-hmm. So I was like, we could still do that. We got Jane Foster Thor, but I didn't want to be wrong.
Asian, at the end of that, we have Janet, the Wasp, growing large and then disappearing, which her going away is kind of what happens in the first Antman movie. So we already have that part taken care of. But yeah, it's definitely something that could be happening here soon.
I'd be here for that.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I had like half a thought that I was trying to put together. So go for it if you have something.
So that's who he possibly could be selling to. But what about his character of Sonny Birch? Like, we know at the end of this movie he's being arrested, but he doesn't die.
Yeah.
Does he show up later? Does he become a proper villain? Does he get a costume?
I don't think so. I don't think he needs to. Like, I don't know who he'd be. Like, I don't know. I don't know of any villain that's just a fixer.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Fixer.
Yeah, like I don't know anybody that's just a fixer. Like that's his whole job. is he has his goons, and that's what he's doing. He's setting stuff up for people.
Okay.
So if he wanted to show up again, sorry, that was a weird burp. If he wanted to show up again, let him show up again. He's a criminal. He got out of jail, paid his way out. Maybe he works for Kingpin.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, Kingpin's in New York and we're in San Francisco in this one, but who's to say, like, Kingpin has a network. Like, Kingpin's reach is large.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. I can get all of that. So I'm all for, like I said, I'm all for Walton Goggins coming back. If he wants to be the behind the scenes bad guy, then I could definitely be here for that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That sounds good. If he wants to be the behind the scenes, if he wants to just be the guy, even if he's just the handshake guy. Hi, this is so and so. So and so, this is so and so. Now you know each other. Converse. Like, if he makes the introductions, that's cool. Like, that's totally cool. You don't need him to be some big overarching bad guy.
No, you really don't. Randall Park as FBI agent Jimmy Woo. I just want to tell you that I love Randall Park. I love him in everything. So him in this as, funny guy to Paul Rudd's funny guy was just pitch perfect. Like, especially the last scene with him where he's like, I will see you around, or I'll see you later. He's like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, I mean, I'll arrest you when you do something bad again. Oh, I just thought maybe we were going to go to a party or dinner or something. He's like, no, why would I invite you? I don't know. And
that's why I was confused.
Did you want to go to dinner with me? We can go get something at some point. And he's like, no. Like, I just felt hurt for him. So
it's like, why would I want to go to dinner with you? You've been nothing but a pain in my ass for the last couple of years, bud.
I love that. And we know that he's going to be showing up in WandaVision. So
excellent.
That's going to be pretty cool.
Because he needs to show up more. I liked at the beginning Randall Park and what's the other guy's name?
Bobby Carnival?
Yes. How do you do that? With the close-up magic? So how'd you do it?
Oh, which was Online Close-Up Magic University. Oh, come you. I mean, it may be nothing, and I'm just stretching, and my frat boy brain is like putting that together, but like I kind of feel like that wasn't a mistake.
Oh, that has to have been on purpose,
right?
That has to have been on purpose. But
the close-up magic and the puking the cards, and he's
like, how do you do that? And then later in the movie, he's trying to learn the close-up magic also. Don't you knock?
No, sir, I didn't see you playing with your cards again.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I loved Bobby Cannavale's character in this one, like as opposed to his character in the first one. Like, I didn't have a problem with this character in the first one, but like this one, he's so much more loving. Like, even though Scott is still technically a criminal, you know that because he's a quote unquote costume superhero, that Paxton's just like, yeah, come in, buddy, I love you, and he's like giving him hugs and stuff.
Like their weird, messed up family unit that they had in the first one has completely healed. Yes, and it's turned into it's turned into a really nice like co-parenting situation, and just everybody's involved, and Cassie is doing well, and everybody's involved because they love her, and it's nice to see.
Yeah,
and there's no animosity between anybody.
No.
Like, I like it. I'm glad that they took that turn with it to, like, Scott needs a win.
Yeah. So much so.
Like, Scott needs a win, and it's nice to see a functional, like, alternative family structure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the fact that he needs a win, and we talked about it earlier, that the one thing he didn't want to do is leave Cassie behind, like, because he went back to jail. and be out of Cassie's life. And then what happens is that he ends up being out of Cassie's life for 5 years when he's trapped in the quantum realm. Like, you know, we know it's the exact same thing that he didn't want to happen, and that's the saddest thing. Like, it's unfortunate.
That's the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Like, that's messed up.
Like, you just, I know we'll talk about it when we get to Endgame, but like, you just feel for him when he shows up at Cassie's house and he doesn't quite recognize her at first because he's not planning on her being 5 years older.
Yeah.
And, you know, an important 5 years for a young girl. That's the puberty and growing and changing and all that stuff, and her father not being around, and she's gonna look different, and he just has to be like, I love you. You're my little girl. And even though she doesn't quite look like the little girl that he left behind, especially since it's a different actress.
Yeah, and that makes me sad again. Because you just want to see, maybe it's me, but you just want to see Scott happy. Like, he's doing all this stuff, and it's like I feel like his whole mindset on everything is one last job.
Yeah.
Like, one last job and I can go be a dad. One last job and I have enough money to provide for my family. One last job and all this craziness is done. Like, and then that one last job is, now I'm stuck in the quantum realm for 5 years. Which, way to go, Rat. We'll talk about you in Endgame, but way to go. I'm proud of you. Way to bring him back. You brought this family back together.
MVP of the MCU.
Absolutely.
As opposed to you, Star-Lord. You screwed it up for everybody else.
That legitimately made me mad.
I know it did.
When we were doing the watch along, I had to try so hard not to just be like, I hate this guy. Like, what is this? This is garbage. He deserves everything he's getting coming to him.
80s failed throwback. No. Going forward in the Ant-Man universe, you already brought up some of the characters that you would love to see join the MCU that we haven't seen yet. I think since this movie takes place in San Francisco, one great thing that they could add into the MCU is the West Coast Avengers. So
yes,
I'd get the West board. And you give me Wonder Man to show up and be in the next Ant-Man movie would be incredible. And Wonder Man's like, hey, I don't like those other Avengers. I'm going to start up my own. I'm doing the West Coast Avengers. Come be a part of it with me, kind of thing.
Ooh, so I'm doing a little bit of Googling.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm trying to... Because I am not the most well-versed in comic book villains for heroes that I don't pay attention to. I'm sorry. That was more for chat and less for you. Because we've been over this on like every show I've been on with you. But we're getting Taskmaster in Black Widow.
Yep.
So just have him show up again and have Taskmaster be like the reoccurring Ant-Man bad guy.
Oh, I'm all for that. One other character I'd love for them to introduce is the irredeemable Ant-Man. If Eric O'Grady was like the third person after Scott Lang to wear the Ant-Man outfit, and he was a SHIELD agent, but he wasn't a good SHIELD agent. He was always just trying to like get out of work and stuff like that. And then he got the Ant-Man outfit, and eventually he becomes a villain. Like, even though he was created as a hero, he eventually becomes a villain. So I would love to see that in the next one too.
Yeah. Now I'm just finding out about more and more of these villains that I'm like, well, that shoots down my nonsense.
I mean, but then again, that would just be a lot more like Yellow Jacket again. Like, I guess we don't really need to do that. But Wonder Man was a villain before he was a hero. So there's that.
And I'm on board for that. But now I'm also on board for Black Ant.
Black Ant, that's the irredeemable Ant-Man.
Okay, then I would like that. If we're on the same page, I just saw the synopsis on Black Ant over here, because who that's not a diehard Ant-Man fan knows who half of these bad guys are.
And one of the great things is that him and Taskmaster are friends in the Marvel comics right now. So you could have that show up. I think at the end of Black Widow, though, you're going to find out that Taskmaster is someone else, and I think that identity is going to go away, the Taskmaster identity, which is sad for me because that's one of my favorite characters. But I get it.
I think that we're gonna have him disappear, and then when we start to get the mutants involved, then Taskmaster might show back up as a mutant, where their mutation is muscle mimicry.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, anytime I get to have more Taskmaster, I'm in for it.
I just want mutants.
I do too.
Just give me the mutants.
It's coming. I think it's coming. Don't worry.
I need my Nightcrawler and I need my Archangel. Let's go.
Okay. It's time for the question. I'm asking it again. Where do you put Tom Cruise?
I was gonna steal it from you.
You're gonna slide in there
because you were like, I get to ask it again. I was gonna be like, so Mitch, where's Tom Cruise? I think that Tom Cruise could have been. I think he could have been Sonny Birch. Like
that's who I was gonna say.
I think that's the only spot you can put him.
Like the sleazy, backhand criminal. Like I get that. Like it works out perfectly because he just has to be charming too. Like that's it.
And I don't want this recast to happen ever, but you make him the Jimmy Woo character.
Yeah,
but I don't
think he would take that role too serious. I think he wouldn't go funny with.
There'd be no humor, and you need the humor. Like that's what made those scenes worth it. Like where Cassie's like, "No, he's sick," and he's like, "I'm a federal agent. I've seen some pretty gross stuff."
Like, how much fun?
Like how much vomit? That's great. But I think that the only real place that you can put him would be as Sonny Birch, unless you wanted to recast Michael Douglas and you make Tom Cruise Hank Pym.
No, it's obvious. You have Tom Cruise be a tardigrade, like in the quantum belt. Quantum, right?
What am I thinking? Sense. Or you would have made him the FBI agent that Sonny Birch has the in with.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely have done that, but I think Sonny Birch would have been the perfect role for him. Like, if you had to put him in there, obviously Walton Goggins was perfect in the role.
Oh, absolutely, because he's been the forever bad guy since Justified.
This is, I mean, he wasn't too great of a guy in S.H.I.E.L.D. either. I don't know if you ever watched S.H.I.E.L.D.
I didn't. I watched like the first 2 seasons of Justified, and that's like where I know him from now.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in Justified. So. All right. So is there any last things from the chat? Is it still just JJ?
Yeah, pretty much. So I think we're good.
Hear from him. So take that, JJ. Take that.
Yeah, he piped in for a little bit with you mean Sam Rockwell?
How dare you?
But I wasn't gonna bring that up because I felt like that might have struck a nerve.
I could not remember his name. I couldn't remember Paul Rudd's name. I feel so bad.
Nah, don't feel bad. All right.
If you want to talk to me, find me on Twitter. I am at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Ian, where can people find you online?
Hey, if you're here right now, then you know where to find me. Twitch.tv/IanFlux. That's IANFLUX over on Twitch. We stream this on Wednesdays at between 5:30 and 6, depending on when I can actually get out of work. And if you want to talk to me during the week, if I'm not live, because you're always welcome to pop in a chat and talk to me. Hello. But if I'm not live, hit me up on Twitter at IanFlux12, IANFLUX, the numbers 1, 2. Hey, Mitch, I heard we had a Patreon.
We have a Patreon. Our Patreon is awesome because we have all kinds of exclusive material there.
Like what?
We get behind the scenes stuff that you usually don't get to hear on the podcast recordings. We have bonus episodes of stuff that either patrons themselves vote on, or they we just record and put it on there. We have bonus videos that we ask a question of certain Geek Elite members and give out what their answers are. We have we are going to shortly be having some behind the scenes photos and videos of production that we are currently working on. So that's something that you can see only there.
Because that's not suspicious or ominous.
But there's definitely a lot of crazy bonus material over at our Patreon. If you please go check that out. Patreon.com/Geek Elite Media.
/Geek Elite Media.
If you want to get a hold of the rest of Geek Elite Media, though, on Twitter, it is at Geek Elite Media, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Yeah. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network on our website, geekelitemedia.com. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, whatever podcatcher you use, please rate and review us so that it helps spread the word of our network.
Spread it.
Wait, I don't know if you want to be yelling that.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, if it's consensual, that's totally okay.
There you go. As long as it's consensual, you're not hurting anybody.
If it is not, then disregard what I just said, because that is not how that was meant to be taken. It was meant to help spread the word on this on the Geek Elite Media network.
There you go.
Don't make me dirty, unless, of course, I'm helping you with your evening's plans. Hello.
Think about that tonight when you're driving. That face right there. Hello.
Just this is just for chat. This is just for chat. No, never mind. It won't work. It just went to a black screen because I forgot that Discord doesn't like to share my camera. It was gonna be a really close up on my face, and I was just gonna go, "Hey."
But until next time, this is Journey into Mystery on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to
geek out. I'm so sad that the cutaway didn't work.
When you did that during Infinity War, I didn't know that was a thing that could happen, and I was like, oh.
Well, have you seen Bernie Sanders?
No.
Oh, Mitch, you're gonna have to, when we watch Endgame, you're gonna have to meet Bernie Sanders. He hangs out with me.
Does he now?
Yeah.
Okay.
He hangs out with me, and he's always asking for things.
I mean, sure, I get that. Why wouldn't he?
It's a good time. We have fun here. All right, I'm gonna hop out of here. Mitch, go enjoy your evening. Chat.
Bye, chat.
I can't see you guys because I'm cut down a little bit, but y'all have a good night. Remember, Wisdom Webcams is coming back. We already started it up. Next week is our first episode. Be there or be square. And I'll catch you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.